You know, we did have a sort of summer drinks 2 weeks ago, and one of the merchants from the fashion sector said to me, been running their program for a while, and they said, how do I meet these affiliates? You know, I just never get a chance. I said, you know, there are a lot of events you can go to. You know, you've got the AFU Awards, you've got the Expo. I mean, yes, it's hard to go out and spend your time sort of a day out of the office or a night out of the office, but you know, you can go there, find out who's going. Even if you arrange to meet up at 3 or 4, those conversations where you say, what you're doing, what are your gripes, what are you doing for the next couple of months, they're invaluable. You know, it's money well spent. And I even get existence saying to me, we need more merchants at the AFU Expo. Why aren't they coming? And you know, I think it's the challenge to put out to the merchants. You know, you need to be there, you need to be meeting affiliates if you want to do a better job.
I think it's getting the point across. I mean, it's like Jim said, you know, at the AFU Expo Bristol, you just met one person that made the trip worthwhile. Yeah. And it's like, you know, we appreciate merchants are busy and it's not always possible to go to every event, but if you go to at least one and network, like you know, this is an opportunity, or whether it's like winter drinks or Christmas drinks, or you know, at a trade show, because you know, if you meet your affiliates and merchants, affiliates meet the merchants, you're more likely to build a better relationship, or at least put faces to names, or at least go, you know, sent you this email that whatever, you know, what were your thoughts, and you know, you have a dialogue going on rather than. You know, I think I was talking to Steve, you know, online is very sterile, I guess. Everyone's MSN, email, you know, like I built up a relationship or with a friend, or met somebody over Twitter who works for e-consultancy, and it's like, you know, they are just names and logos, and you need to actually be at some of these networking events to really kind of build that relationship with those quality affiliates, or those people that you work with, because you know, they're the people driving traffic through to you.
Richard, I mean, out of interest, do you think there's value out of these, the expo, the awards, you know, do you build relationships there? I mean, as an affiliate, do you think they're valuable? I'm
delighted to meet people face to face, as opposed to just getting emails from people. And again, I think a lot of merchants, I work with a few big companies, sort of high street brands who I've never even heard from them on the phone, let alone met in person, and I do a lot of business with them. So I'm a bit surprised how many people don't think about that sort of thing. I guess the flip side is, I think a lot of affiliates probably get asked to do quite a lot of those things, and you can't do them all. So I love the idea, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who say they can't do them, but don't let that put you off, would be my perspective as an affiliate. I think all it takes is one to pay off, and it's all worthwhile. So I think they're a great idea.
I think at the end of the day, we're your online sales force. So the more we know, the more we can communicate to consumers. I think that's the key to the whole industry. So that's, we're always going to events, and I think you'll see a lot of Cebu this year at loads of different events throughout the year, and put our own events on as well. I think that's what affiliates should do more of as well. Host their own events, tell merchants what's going on, tell them about their site. I mean, we're about to launch a B2B newsletter where we can sort of tell you what's going on every month in our business and that kind of thing. And I think the onus is really on both sides of the equation. That's my thoughts.
Has anyone else got anything to say about challenges, etc.?
I think we've sort of touched on with regard to seasonality, etc. It's communication to us. What I hate the most is receiving a communication, say for Christmas product, in December, when it's slightly late. You know, you should be talking to us now,
Phil,
you know, for Christmas.
What is the correct lead time?
I'm thinking about Christmas now.
Yeah.
So, you know, it depends on the size of the market. Like after Christmas gets in the way of Valentine's Day, so as soon as Christmas hits, effectively it's Valentine's. But the markets.
Well, last year Christmas hit for us in the middle of October. That's when it started to ramp up.
Yeah.
And so you do have to do your communication, your plan. I've had a meeting with David. When was it? July we were talking about Christmas. It's insane. By the time you get to Christmas, it's such a bore. Right. Oh, we were making lots of money, which is great. I ended up working in the warehouse last year because we too many things, and on customer care phones. I haven't got my gift. Sorry about that. Have £10 off the next one. Right. So, did we say we're going to go on to 10:30?
We've got the room until 12.
We've got the room to 12, so we might as well go for the final question. which is we've got spare ones if you need some more questions. Is brand protection still an issue? All I've got to say about that from my own perspective is not at the moment, no. We've had people rip off our sites and put them in iframes. That was funny. But we got rid of them, didn't we, David? Yeah, we got rid of them.
Sure.
And we have pay-per-click people, but they don't do, depending on the program, they have the brand terms on one program but not on the other, which is okay. I mean, we don't seem to have suffered anything from that. Has anyone else got any experience about brands? Steve?
One of the issues we had, we rebranded ourselves about a year or so ago, so it's slightly different than what you were mentioning, but because we've got a new look for the website, a new logo, it's a case of getting everyone to change their logo on their site,
right,
which is almost an impossibility to do.
So you're still coming across them, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes.
It's all major ones are done, but then you're going to find a small affiliate that maybe drops in a sale once a year,
yeah,
and you suddenly look where the sales come from and think, oh well, that's like the old screen grab, the old logo, the old information. Please can you change it? It's literally impossible to go through sort of several thousand affiliates, find your page, and then find the ones that are correct and aren't correct. So again, that kind of comes back to the communication part of, I've got something important to say, I need everyone to please change our brand because it's brand new. But those emails aren't getting read because it's probably something that's not an interesting subject line, so I guess it's at the end of the day.
I've seen a website, we've got a green logo now, we had a pink logo. I've seen one of the website last week with a pink logo still. And I tried finding the website address on Webgains system. They're obviously on Webgains through a different website, couldn't find them, emailed them, I've not had a response back. So that's another thing that'll be sitting there in pink for quite a while.
We struggle with it because we're obviously part of Virgin. We're very heavily governed by Virgin Management Limited, who are very, very brand heavy. You know, and it's like, you know, we don't want to see the brand image twisted, lengthened, shortened, cropped, whatever you name it. It's got to be on brand.
How do you police that?
Well, it's virtually impossible to police, like Steve says. You're not going to, unless you've got one single person sitting there clicking on every single URL, you know, you're just not going to find the ones. And I think it's just a question of laying out your strategy towards that. Like we've put all of our own creative, obviously, in the Webgains platform.
Yes.
Often that's quite tricky for a lot of affiliates to do. They think it's quicker to just find an old image online somewhere, go to Google Images, find the first image they can with the Virgin balloon in it. Which although an image of a Virgin balloon is great, it isn't our logo, it isn't our brand, you know, it's not what we would use ourselves. So where necessary, I will actually contact them personally and say, please can you swap. We've had exactly the same thing, we've rebranded as well within the last sort of 18 months. So it is a question of just contacting them saying, please can you update, and 9 times out of 10 they will. And if you can't find them, you know, then you know nobody else is particularly going to find them anyway either. So you know, but I think if you're making sure that the creative's there, we try to come up with fresh creative as often as we can, and we hope that affiliates will like it as much as we do and use that. Other than that, it's just a question of getting in touch with them and just saying, swap this for that, please. You know, and we've got an in-house resource for that as well. You know, so we will literally design anything custom to fit your website if necessary. You know, we're not just governed by the standard sort of web dimensions. If it needs to look like your page, we'll do that as well. You know, as long as it's kind of on brand for us, then.
Well, for the affiliates in the room, is it really timing if, you know, a company changes their logo? Obviously it's going to be important to that merchant for the affiliates. Is that is it just really timing? So like say Virgin Balloons, if they knew that they were going to change their brand 10 months, 12 months in advance, would that have helped to maybe change it over?
On our side, obviously, because we're quite well resourced, we have a dedicated content team and an external one as well who work out of hours. So it's a case of you don't really need to tell us 10 months in advance in terms of the actual logistics of changing over the logo and all that sort of thing. Planning ahead for promotions, that's fine. So it's a case of as long as you put it in an email and you send it to the right address and we can communicate who to send that to, feel free to CC us in as well because we can make sure that's done. On our site, we can change over things like that in minutes. So, but it's all about making sure you do send it to us. In terms of resources as well, our content team are obviously targeted on uploading content. So if they have to go into the interface of Webgains to grab a logo, that is quite time consuming for them because they're measured on, you know, how much content they do upload. So if you have time, it's just easier to ask us what size, and I can tell you, you know, with MSN or whatever, because we don't have that much, you know, many display banners on our site or anything like that. It's just literally one size of logo. You send it in to us, it'll get uploaded and live in half an hour. So as long as it's communicated to us, and that is the easiest way of getting your brand changed, if you obviously change your logo and stuff.
So do people send the logos through to you? Because I mean, I've only been doing the role for about 6 weeks, and I thought you upload them all through Webgains, and then if you were to change it, it automatically changes on the affiliate site.
No, not for us. Almost 100%, unless it's actually physically changed on the back end of our site. So we have to physically upload a new logo. It's not linked to the network interface. So as in, you need to make sure you communicate to us, all right, you know, this is the launch of our brand tomorrow. Here's a new logo, make sure you upload it. 10 months in advance is probably a little bit too early, because obviously somebody's got to be there to, you know, remember to do it and mark it down in their calendar. But you know, give us a week's notice. Even on that day, it's fine. So we're always there to be. We're always on the end of the phone. So, but logos sent in to us is a good way of getting your brand correct on our site, rather than going into the interface. But that's just from my perspective. So.
I mean, sorry, I think we've got the same issue as you discovered, Nikki. Well, I'll come across people that are using the wrong logos or whatever, or outdated, not necessarily wrong, but outdated. And often it's difficult to actually track down, because people do register on the Webgains platform with multiple URLs, multiple sites. And like we've come across this, haven't we, where we literally can't track people down, you know, often, you know, they won't have an address or a contact us on their website, or, you know, they've registered with different phone numbers, email addresses, URLs, and sometimes it is just literally impossible to track that person down.
How much time do you spend on that, tracking your logos?
Well, not very much, because of everything else I do.
But how important is it?
It's probably, I mean, it is important, because we're, you know, we would hate to see our brand misrepresented in any way. We would be accountable for that. We are accountable for that to Virgin Management Limited. It's not only the fact that we're accountable to someone, it's we do want to protect our brand.
Yeah.
And like you said, most of the majority of the affiliate side of things for us is PPC, so it's not a question of a wrong logo or a wrong.
No, you usually contact your big boys.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I'm just wondering, are you spending?
If I did have the time to, then, you know, I would have sort of somebody looking through and saying, find all the old stuff and get rid of it, you know. But we literally just don't have the time.
That would be a job in itself.
It would be a job in itself, you know. It would certainly be a job in itself. So I mean, you have to kind of trust, which we do very much, the affiliates to do the job to the best of their ability. They obviously know what they're doing. You know, they know what they're trying to market. They're not going to pick a really useless picture. You know, they're going to work with the best that they've got in the, you know, in the time frame that they've got. And, you know, thankfully we haven't experienced too much of a problem with that. So, but it's.
I think the main issues you'll get from that is like when Steve said, it's the affiliates that send sort of one sale a year or something like that. They're not getting a lot of traffic. So perhaps it's not, you know, if it was on someone like My Voucher Codes, then it would be an issue.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
People like
it's
that
just more about
responsible.
ensuring that your brand is as strong as possible wherever it's displayed. If you've got different logos, different images, and not the consistency, it's who confuses the customer.
Absolutely.
About reinforcing your brand to them so they know who they bought from. Because to an extent, for a lot of we do sell a lot of similar products. There's a lot of different Ferrari days, there's a lot of different or the same gadgets on different sites.
Yeah.
So you need to reinforce the brand of the product that you've sold rather than just what you sold. Like I could get a slang kit from many different sites.
Yeah, I might open up a can of worms here actually. So I've got a couple of points I want to raise about the whole issue of brand protection. One is for merchants actually. What sites do you want to be associated with, and how does that reflect your brand? So if you're associated with a discounting style site that's really looks a little bit rubbish or whatever, do you want to be associated with that? And the second thing is, I hear a lot of merchants talking about it as social listening, right? I know there are lots of companies now offering that service, which is, what are people saying about your brand? And if people are slagging you off, or, you know, because ultimately, for some brands that I've seen out there, that starts to creep into natural search. So if you type in the brand name of something and someone's slagging off your brand or your product or whatever, how do you deal with that? And I think that's a real problem as well in the industry.